everybody, it's Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoy this video, remember to check out our Patreon to support the channel, get early access to our videos, or to join our Discord server. So today we will be doing a lyric breakdown and song analysis of The Path of Isolation, the full version from the RWBY Volume 5 soundtrack, because apparently I did do a short analysis version when the song first came out. I don't remember doing that, but apparently it's there. So this is kind of how I see all the lyrics and what they could be referencing. Not that there's like a right or wrong answer here, but I think, you know, this song is a pretty cool one because it is almost a prologue to all the other ones, so to speak. So let's get started. A couple of you guys said that you prefer when I read out the lyrics instead of you guys having to pull it up. So you can follow me, so I'll do that this time. I didn't do that for Ignite because I wanted to know what you guys think. So obviously, you know, at the start of the song, it starts with the unexpected loss of something dear. The warmth that comforted and cradled just disappears, and in its place there's nothing, just an endless empty hole. The light that showed the way is gone, and the darkness takes control. Bitterness and anger are quick to fill the void. The path of isolation is littered with the dreams that lay destroyed. So I think that this is pretty obvious, but I think that this is referencing her mother. You know, we find this out in Volume 5 that she's basically sort of like a drunk now in some way, and like Jacques basically has seemed to like drive her to drink because he abused her and caused her to be the loss that, you know, Weiss is kind of talking about here. And that she probably isn't remotely, you know, the same person anymore. And the light that showed the way is gone is probably talking about her mother. Like, the mother was the light in the darkness, and Jacques was the darkness. And, you know, even though Winter's obviously around in the trailer, she's joined the military, she's probably left them. Like, there's nothing really to help guide Weiss anymore. And so she starts to get, as it says, you know, bitter and angry and all that. Because, you know, nothing can really replace, like, it even says, you know, the comfort that her mom sort of gave her, and she probably didn't expect that things would turn out that way. And she even says that, like, it was 1 cup of wine, then 2 cups of wine, then a bottle of wine, right? When she's talking to Yang. And in It's My Turn, and even Life Is Mine, it's sort of implied or mentioned that, like, Jacques was the one who said that her dreams could never come true, and so if he's the only one controlling her life, that's sort of why. Like, it's sort of like her dreams lay destroyed now because, you know, maybe her mother was more open to everything that she wanted to do, but now it's like Jacques has taken over and it's like, nope, you can't do this, right? And so that's why they've been destroyed, you know? But maybe Weiss had another dream that had to do with her mother that she can't have anymore, because obviously her mother isn't in any shape to do so, because I think that could reference the Huntsman dream, but there's also sort of an idea, I suppose, that it could also reference something else, you know what I mean? Like, it could also reference, like, I guess, like, how she thought she would grow up with her mom, so to speak, like, something like that, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so to continue on, the cold seems to grow in my soul. It's consuming me, confused, and I'm losing myself in the storm, growing jaded, being pushed, being pulled. I'm unraveling, can't find myself when I'm constantly forced to conform. I think that it's basically like a cold heart sort of thing. Like, this is I don't think it's a bad comparison. It's a comparison, right? But it's almost like in Frozen when, like, Elsa causes that giant storm around her while she's talking to Anna, you know what I mean? And she's like, no, I can't be free. And, like, she makes her own storm in a sort of prison, like, in that moment. And Weiss is losing the person, you know, that she once was, and as she says, grows jaded, because she's being pushed and pulled in all these directions by her father, and, like, other people that worked for her father, as was covered in the manga, right? And she doesn't know who she is anymore, and she is, unraveling, right? And unraveling kind of makes me think of the Tokyo Ghoul opening. I don't know if that was necessarily intentional, but I think that that's, you know, it does, this song does remind me of Frozen a little bit, just because, you know, Elsa locks herself in after everything that happens, and she lost both of her parents, too, and obviously it's a bit more literal, like, she causes an actual storm, but for Weiss, it can be, like, obviously her father is causing a lot of her problems, but at the same time, you know, the storm is growing inside of her as well, and so that's, like, there's an outside influence and then an internal storm, right? There's an outside storm and an inside storm, basically. Enemies surround me, but the worst appear as friends. Liars and pretenders only seek to reach their ends. I feel like this may be a reference to a couple things. Whitley, because obviously he's supposed to be their brother, right? And, like, you're supposed to be friends with your siblings most of the time. That's how it's supposed to go. But instead, Whitley goes for his own goals, right? He doesn't care what happens to Weiss because he wants to be sort of the favorite child, you know? I think it could also be a reference to the people in the Schnee house. I mentioned this earlier, but in the manga, Jacques seems to have, like, I don't know, some sort of, like, butler or something to set up the night fight for Weiss, and he's basically trying to get her not to do it because the night is intentionally made so Weiss will fail, because Jacques needs her to fail, and so even the people that are working for Jacques and are sort of, like, staff in this house are bad as well. You know what I mean? Like, they appear as friends, like, oh, we're here to serve you, right? But they're only, doing it to reach their own goals, to serve Jacques, whatever you want to call it, right? Everything is breaking right before my eyes. Looking in the mirror, I see someone I don't recognize. I feel like this is a reference to her family breaking apart, obviously, like Winter leaves. Whitley's a little shit, you know. Jacques is obviously, you know, he causes her mom to, you know, do what she does, like all of that stuff. It's that everything sort of just, you know, breaks apart one by one. Because I feel like it started basically like Jacques caused the mom to drink. Winter couldn't take it anymore, so Winter started to leave. Then Weiss was next, and that, you know, impacted Whitley as a small child, and so that's why he's a little psychopathic. You know what I mean? So it's all sort of connected, right? And now she doesn't know who she is anymore. So this is where things get different from the original song analysis I did. So the joy that my heart used to know is eluding me, removed. And the only thing I feel is alone. Smiles faded, and I'm spinning and sinking and weakening, frozen and stuck, too lonely and chills to the bone. I would actually like to cross-reference this sort of with Smile later, because I listened to it, and it seems like Ilya's parents were trying to say to her at first, like, through adversity, she should show the world her smile, right? And then after they got radicalized or whatever happened, I want to do a separate song analysis on that, because there's either two options, right? Those are her parents throughout the whole song, we know that. But are they Ilya's perception of her parents after the White Fang took over Ilya's life, or were they her parents all the way through, if that makes sense? Like, the real version and an illusion that Ilya has made, because Jeff has confirmed it's her parents singing the entire song. But it's more like Red Like Roses is Ruby imagining what her mother would say. It's not her actual mother, but it's still, like, it's credited as her mother. So I'm thinking with Ilya, it may be a situation like that. But anyway, the mention of, like, you know, the smiling again, I wonder if, like, it could be a similar thing to Ilya, maybe that they could bond over later if they go to Atlas, right? That they both used to feel joy that was removed when they lost their parents and they felt alone and could no longer smile. And Ilya's smile turned into, you know, take what you need and leave them to bleed, while Weiss just sort of lost hers entirely because the loneliness froze her. But unlike Weiss, Ilya wasn't lonely. She went to the White Fang and that was her new family, whereas Weiss was stuck by herself. But both outcomes, or both decisions, I should say, led to equally bad outcomes. Like, Ilya found a place, but it's not a good place, and Weiss was just, you know, too lonely. She had no one. But having no one and then having a group like that, you know, it's sort of, it didn't help either way, you know what I mean? Like, you could say, oh, maybe Ilya shouldn't have joined the White Fang, but if she was alone, maybe the same thing that happened to Weiss would happen to her, or vice versa, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of interesting to cross-reference with that later. But I haven't done the Smile analysis yet. I just listened to the song. Memories escaping as my heart begins to drain. Skies that cover wounds. I can't hide the self-inflicted pain. Everything my mind wants in conflict with my heart. Fighting back surrender, but every day I'm falling more apart. I think this line is more the memories of her mother, because obviously they get replaced with the alcoholic version, so to speak. Like, as you kind of, at least for me, I don't, like, remember a lot of stuff. My memory's pretty bad. Hunter's Mess does this in a couple of videos. But, like, I don't, like, remember, I guess, like, the Hunter version of Hunter when I first met Hunter. Like, I do a little bit, but I'm more, like, all of my memories are more of the current version of Hunter. Like, the Hunter that I interact with every day. And so the fond memories of her mother, for example, could be getting replaced with the alcoholic version of her mother. Self-inflicted pain could be that Weiss is forcing herself to conform, and that's super painful for her. Like, she's doing it to please Jacques until she can get out of here. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's interesting. And she's fighting back her instinct to surrender, which is only causing more pain to her. Of course, in the long run, we know that she should fight back, right? But, you know, that is, like, it's painful to keep fighting. A couple people think that this line alludes to Weiss cutting herself. I don't know about that, like, because, okay, I have two ideas. Well, like, in Volume 1, we do see her bare arms. Like, we don't really see anything, but again, this plot line may have not been, like, you know, in their minds, I guess, back then. But the other thing is, like, if you have full aura, it seems like full aura would heal tiny wounds, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the reason why Blake has a scar on her stomach and whatnot is because, you know, her aura was down and then she got stabbed and then it, like, you know, I don't know, scarred or whatever happens when you get a cut, right? It just did the thing, right? But maybe with Weiss, if she had full aura and she was cutting herself, it would heal right away. And so it's, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna go that dark. That seems like very, very dark. But a couple of people asked me to talk about it. I would like to do a video with Hunter about that, just to see what he thinks. But in terms of the song, I'm not sure yet. I just wanted to say that because I know a couple of you guys are waiting for me to mention that. Mir, what's this thing I see who is staring back at me? This stranger to my heart that's filled my life. Mir, help me, who am I? So I think that we get into Weiss actually talking to the mirror here, obviously, like, which would go into Mirror, because it's almost like a prequel. So I think instead of asking the mirror in Mirror who she is, she's asking what she knows the answers to instead, because she doesn't get the answers here. Like, the point of a magic mirror is to tell you the answers, right? And so she doesn't know who she is, and so the mirror can't answer that, because she's basically just talking to herself. But when in Mirror she says, Mirror, tell me something, tell me who's the loneliest of all, right? She's like, I feel like that's connected. So it's like, Mirror, help me, who am I? But then the mirror doesn't reply, so she's like, okay, Mirror, tell me something, just anything. Like, who is the loneliest of all? Because she knows the answer to that, right? And so it's like, well, you gotta give me something, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I sort of feel as the connector there. And so when she's like, tell me something, it's like that these questions didn't get answered before, and so I think that that's really interesting. And so I think that she asks the things that she knows, right, instead of the question she doesn't know, so she gets an answer. So I don't want to say she's having an actual human interaction, because obviously she's just talking to herself, but it's almost like that she's doing it in order to, like I said, have a conversation, like actually get answers, because obviously none of the mirror doesn't reply to, Mirror, what's this thing I see? Mirror doesn't know. Who is staring back at me? Mirror doesn't know. Mirror, help me. The mirror can't help you. So instead she asks, who's the loneliest of all? It's you, right? Tell me, can a heart be turned to stone? And she's like, yep, you know what I mean? And so I think that's super interesting, because you start, you know, Mirror, help me, who am I? And you kind of have, like, Weiss maybe grabbing onto the mirror, and she's frustrated, and, like, you know, her palms are starting to turn, like, more white than usual because she's gripping so hard, and then she's like, Mirror, tell me something. Who is the loneliest of all? And then the mirror's like, you? You know what I mean? That's how I see it. I think that that's super interesting, right? And I feel like Filled My Life is gonna be like a connector back to Life Is Mine, that she's reclaimed it now in Life Is Mine, and that in this song her life wasn't hers because a stranger took it, like somebody that she wasn't supposed to be, like bitch Weiss, so to speak, instead of regular Weiss, right? But now her life is entirely hers in the canon of Life Is Mine. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I know I already did a song analysis for this, again, when the song first came out, but this is a lot more in-depth since we have the rest of the lyrics now. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you guys want to support us, you can check out our Patreon to join our Discord server, talk more with us, and we will see you guys later. Bye, guys.